Bossy. There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound?
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come be live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. I forgot to chuck this up, so let me see if I can get it playing real quick and screen share this real quick and try to get the thumbnail from that. All right, so let's see, this is Every Second Matters. This is Tuesday, and this is episode, no, it's Wednesday, and it's episode 1200. Dang it. Episode, I just wrote a bunch of them down, 1200 something. So we've been doing the show since 2016, and the format's changed a bit over the years, and right now it's an open conversation, open format. You're welcome to join in and be part of the conversation, and that includes the people that might be watching this out there. So without much else, we'll throw a link out there. This is a thing called StreamYard that we're using. It's software, web-based software out of Canada. When we throw this link out there, right there, you can just click on it and then you log in, and it'll want your microphone and your webcam. You don't need a webcam. You do need a microphone. You can tell it to ignore your webcam or just use your webcam. It's up to you. And then just tell it to listen to your microphone. And then mute your microphone if you want. So you're given the software access to use your microphone, but then you have control over when it's on and off. Once we see it in the backstage, you're looking at a screen there. This is what it looks like. If I close out of all that, this is what it looks like for me. When you jump in here, you'll be behind the screen or behind the scenes off air, and then I'll click on it. Like I'm going to remove this and everything will disappear. So that's how it works. You can be part of this conversation. There's DJ jumping in, or use the keyboard out there and be part of the conversation out here in the text chat as well. All right, well, so we'll see if anybody shows up today. Oh, that's what I was going to do. We've got a video here. We're just going to run this, and this will take 4 minutes to kind of start the show off.
Yeah, the original Bren-Ten, manufactured by Caucus and Dixon. So let's check number 621. It's a nice and excellent condition with the box, the manual, and everything. We're gonna just take a couple shots we've never shot one of these. Picked up some laser 10 millimeter. 10 millimeter ammo is a little hard to come by right now, but grabbed a little bit. Go ahead and shoot a couple shots. This one is embossed with the gun sight logo. Obviously one of the early ones. This one's also a hard chrome slide, which are, I guess, a bit rarer than the blue ones. The magazines were kind of an issue with these guns. So these were pretty scarce, and the original, like when this shipped, it may not have even had anything with it. Because they shipped the guns and they just had trouble getting them. Go ahead and shoot there. kind of unique safety features. There's a firing pin safety as well as your standard thumb safety. So I'm just gonna shoot a couple shots here just to see how it shoots. Seems like it has kind of a high bore access. It shot the point of impact. Has a little bit of recoil, and of course, this laser 10mm is not a super hot load, but
I'll turn it.
Bren-Ten.
Yeah. This is a 40. This is a 10. Shoot for that orange underneath it. There's good recoil, but it's not too bad. You definitely have a gun to hold on to. It's real ergonomic. If it wasn't interesting. Well, if it wasn't, I suspect that because it was so lightweight, it didn't feel like injectable. But if it wasn't so expensive, I'd shoot a box to this. But it's like,
The guys and gals at gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.
If you're an Arizona homeowner looking to lower your electric bill, then now is the time to take advantage.
I'm not. Son of a shut up. All right, so barbecue jumped in. I'll see if anybody else jumped in. That was a video from our archives from 2010. So, it's just 10 years old, and it's got 50,000 views or something. So in 2010, that was about a year into doing YouTube as a partner. And let's see, so there was some community on there. People were doing different kinds of things, but a Bren-Ten wasn't something you could just go buy at the store. So you can tell the kind of stuff we were doing was, I don't know, not like, it was just opportunity like that happened to come through the shop and we were shooting it. So we brought the camera out and we were sharing that so that it wasn't just happening isolated or whatever. But it wasn't as though there was an awareness that YouTube was, I had a suspicion that YouTube was going where it was going, but there was no knowledge that it was going where it's going, or no sponsorship or no reason to put production into anything. We were literally just doing it to archive and share the thing and use this new thing with the internet and this fairly new thing, YouTube, to do it. And you can see the videos all squished because I filmed it on, I don't remember what format anymore, probably some old format, and then used an old video editor, probably at this point, Windows Movie Maker, which was just built into Windows. So there wasn't options for like prosumer video software. There was really expensive stuff for movie makers, and then there was stuff for people with camcorders who were making holiday movies for their family or something, like kids making school projects. There was a big gap in between them. So that I was using the cheap stuff, of course, and the format at some point later on, maybe 2013 or 14, at some point YouTube changed something, had gotten a fight with Microsoft, and they quit dealing with their formats or quit auto stretching their formats, and they're all these old videos went wanky on us. So I'm guessing anybody that happened to use either the combination or one of those elements, or all these old videos are goofy. So anyway, that was a video that we just sort of did. And the reason I'm showing it today is because I just got a comment in here. We'll get comments all the time, and occasionally they're from a video like this one that's 10 years old. And most people are oblivious, I suppose. So they see a video and they expect everything is streaming to them. Like everything is being created and fed to them right now. And perhaps their perception doesn't expand past that. They haven't experienced things on YouTube that are dug up or whatever. Maybe they didn't deliberately look for it, or maybe they did deliberately look for it and they don't realize that, they get fed stuff that's recent so often they don't realize that occasionally they're going to get stuff that's a decade old. Anyway, they bitched about, said something in the comments, and anyway, it just reminded me that this video was out there. So it was an effort to start the show off with something here, get us 10 minutes into the show with something on the screen without us having to say anything. And we'll see if anybody jumps in now. So it's the three of us again. We got DJ jumping in first, and then Barbecue. If you guys got topics, we can bring them up. Chris is out there. But otherwise, I guess we're off to the same old start. See if anybody shows up and joins in. This is a conversation, not a production, so it'll be what it'll be.
I've got.
Was there anything on today's calendar?
No.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Barbecue.
I was just saying, I've got something to show off real quick. I received a package from Patriot in the Dark today, and received a patch inside there, if you guys can see that. I believe it says Gun Show Loophole Tour. I was like, that is freaking sweet.
The donuts from the 2016 tour.
Yeah, I thought it was a little ironic since we were just talking about that patch. It seemed like just last week.
Are we?
Yeah, very, very briefly. Maybe it was on Gizzard Gary's chat that it got brought up. Then I was just over watching Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus video that you dropped the link for earlier. That is an awesome chat.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely a fan of that chat. They do good stuff, and she's a great hostess, and yeah, some great topics. With the general topic was awesome, and then the subtopic stuff was really good. I'm gonna have to watch it at least one more time to make sure, because I have the salient points and I want to get in a little deeper. But what did you think about what did either one of you think about how you might participate in engendering responsibility for self-reporting and the care taken to maintain someone's rights?
I haven't made it that far into it yet. I only made it about the first break that they do where they promote themselves. Then I realized that it was 5 minutes after midnight, so I jumped on over here.
I got a problem with I don't have a problem with them addressing it, but I have a problem that they don't address, or they don't challenge the math or the data. And they keep saying that a gun's the most effective way to kill yourself, and I have suspect with that. I suspect that data. I don't agree with that. It would be called killing, and there would be only murders. There would only be successful murders if guns were so deadly and so magic, such a talisman that when you touch them, they're instantly deadly. I know for a fact it's very difficult to kill something with a gun. Like, people train a lot, really hard, so that they can kill a deer humanely or efficiently, or so they lazily, so they don't have to track it, whatever reasons. It's really difficult. And that's something that people spend their lives trying to do, and it's completely legal and sane and normal, and people really spend a lot of time on that. and it's not a skill that's easy. I tried to explain that in the chat that I want to see what they're looking at. If you are talking about people who don't have a euthanasia option and they're old and they are proficient and they're aware of what they're dealing with, they're going to be successful. Now, if you have doctors who are aware of pharmaceuticals and have a situation where they're having illegal euthanasia, what are they going to use? Something they've never touched before, or something they're completely comfortable with that it's going to do what they want it to do and know how to use it. So if they're going to say guns are the most deadly thing, and then look at gun owners and people with children and all this other stuff that they address, which really bothers me, I want to know that it's not old military knowledge, like old war vets who know exactly what to do to off themselves, to turn off the lights. And if they're only looking at those kind of suicides, which the greatest, it's the baby boomers, literally the baby boomers are reaching an age where they're looking at massive bills that are going to take away from the inheritance to their children, and they have no legal euthanasia. It might be difficult to talk about, but I want to know that that isn't what's being talked about with suicides. And then they look at you people that are young, that have children, and they look at you and a child suicide that's successful once in a country of 360 million people. And I don't want to have that conversation in good reason, with good intentions be made, and then the data never be scrutinized and the battle to be won by the antis because they own that data. And I'm not comfortable enough, because no one's ever addressed this question. I can't ask it enough. I've only asked it twice, I think, in a discussion where they at least were on this discussion or topic and they wouldn't address it. But you know what I'm saying? I don't know where that data comes from, and I have no reason to believe. Every time I talk to somebody who's talking to doctors right now, it's like, oh, doctors didn't even know that if you take guns away, that gun owners are scared that they're never going to have their rights again. So if doctors aren't aware of it all, then how could they have ever taken that data originally? And I don't want to think of a 16-year-old picking up a gun for the first time who's having suicidal thoughts because of their boyfriend or girlfriend as deadly accurate, aware, because what they've seen TV shows, because of their never picked up a thing before. Anyway, I'm jump in. But that's my point. I like that they're having the discussion, but I'm not satisfied that it's that black and white.
I completely agree, because if you look at Japan, they've got a tenth of the population that we do here in the U.S. Then they've got 3 times the suicide rate. They have almost zero gun ownership in Japan, and so obviously other methods are being used. And with a suicide rate that high, especially per capita, clearly there must be something more effective.
Yeah, I definitely understand where both of you guys are coming from, and yeah, that is the impetus for a discussion. Hope so. That in a situation like that, I don't even think you need stats. Because you can, as Obergruppenführer says in the text chat, that you can make statistics, you can bend statistics to your will, and where you source them becomes secondary. And by the time it gets to the other end of the receiver, the communication is garbled and doesn't translate as well as it should.
Everybody knows that, right? So then that's why I think a better conversation would be, here's the playing field, and let's all agree on that, because that's what I'm seeing a lack of. I'm seeing them start out the conversation with, as the people who are supposed to be on our side, right? No compromise. Let's actually start with a level playing field and not with it slanted towards the antis, not with the middle, or what they call the middle line in a game, like on the slanted towards the antis. Let's have it actually in the center, like a real playing field. Like, where do they get off saying that they're the most deadly? Again, I'm challenging that. So.
Also, I just went and looked up Japan's population. It's 126 million, so it's half of what the U.S. population is. I just wanted to be accurate on that.
When I was a little kid, we went to camp for Civil Air Patrol. We would go to Air Force bases, and we went to this one Air Force base one time, and they let us go for like 2 weeks at a time, running around in this Air Force base. We had to behave ourselves because we get in trouble or whatever, but for the most part, we do what we wanted. And there was vending machines with beer, but even better, I don't think you needed money. Or if it was the same as soda. It was not, it wasn't a thing. Like you could just go get beer, basically. I think it might have been free too. Like soda machines were free there.
Wow.
Well, because when you got to meet PT and stuff, like it's not like people are going to just sit there and get obese drinking soda. So it's like, yeah, got a soda if you want.
Right on.
But I don't know. That was a long time ago. I might be mistaken. Like say it was probably a nickel or a quarter or some shit for a can back then. I think I was alive when Cokes and this vending machine were still a quarter.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they didn't start jumping until the end of the 70s.
I remember a soda being a nickel or a dime, or I mean a drink being a dime when I was a little kid. So I think sodas probably were a quarter when I was older. But that was
there was before other stores started putting them in their entryways or whatever, like grocery stores. There was one in a neighborhood here in town. He had 3 machines out front, and they were modern machines, but they were set up to just be 25 centers, and that was a good place to stop. You know, if you went out and grab fast food, then you swing by that grocery store and get some cold soda from the machine. Plus, after hours, that was kind of choice too. But yeah. Now it seems that everybody, and I just use kind of Walmart as a general example, has soda vending right there in the front of the store. And I think around here it's like 35 cents or something like that. Not a bad idea. So speaking of Walmart, anybody got any updated information on whether or not they are just have guns and ammo out?
I went over by ours and they didn't have anything out. But I didn't look around or pay attention too much.
I was at mine last week, and it looked like they had some firearms in the case, but I wasn't trying to look very hard to really tell.
Yeah, I almost never go to one, so I just rely on other people's reportage. So, how many states are euthanasia states now? You know, in the days of Kevorkian in Florida, I remember.
I mean, I don't know. But here's the thing. I know we were talking about Minnesota, and they talked about that, but I hesitated to even bring it up. It's midnight, and I know I'm being a dick or whatever, but I don't want to talk about old people dying and euthanasia. It's a topic for an afternoon or evening with people, and I'm saying I don't want to think about that shit. It's this late. If that's all right, I'd rather talk guns. Yeah. So what other stuff do we got in the notes there? You can watch Terminator for real, minus the swears, because for some reason, and boobs. I don't know if there's boobs in Terminator, but is there boobs in Terminator? There might have been in the bathroom. But anyway, they'll get rid of boobs and they get rid of swears on YouTube. But otherwise, you can watch these movies for nothing. And I'm trying to remember. I watched, I think, 2 whole movies today, and there wasn't even a commercial in them. I don't think. I was listening from the other room, so I think I would have. You know, I'll usually be listening to like an old Long Ranger show, and in the middle of it, you know, they're selling freaking fabric softener or something. You know, it's like, what the hell happened to Jimmy or whatever? Why has he got fabric softener? And then I remember that it's a commercial, and I don't think I heard any commercials today. So I didn't watch these, but I just noticed that Terminator's on there. I haven't watched it on YouTube actually, but it is on there right now. And this other movie called Ronin. So I don't know if anybody's seen those before. And then when I did watch the other day, I put it on here because I was looking through my history to come up with movies or stuff to put in here, was the first time James Bond was ever on screen was in a TV show here in the United States. And he was a CIA agent, not a Secret Service agent. And it's called Casino Royale, and it's from 1954. And they introduced the YouTube videos linked in the. I have to go change these links so that they're hot links, but the link is in there, and It's like an hour, something like that. It's like a TV show, right? And then from like the 50s. And so it's all black and white and kind of blown out, weird black and white. But he's, it's like they mention, you know, when they intro the show or the movie, it's like a movie of the week. They intro it and say, this is from Ian Fleming's book. But I don't know. I haven't, I'm trying to remember. I've read all the books when I was a kid, but I just don't remember for the life of me from reading them. I read them so long ago. If Casino Royale, I'm assuming that this TV show interpreted it differently than the book, just loosely interpreted the book. Because I don't think I've ever heard that Casino Royale, or I mean that one of the James Bond books, I should say, had James Bond being a CIA agent. Like I've never heard of that before.
Double agent.
No, in this one he's literally just a CIA. There's actually another agent who's the James Bond character, but the CIA guy is the guy who does all the stuff that James Bond. It's like they basically just changed the names. It's like they changed the names on the room or something. Like they have the same roles. It's just that they swap. Like it just happens to be like focused on a CIA agent instead of the other one. It's all right.
Well,
I mean, for a TV show in the 50s, it's almost like watching Lucy if Lucy was trying to be a James Bond movie, right? It's you know, it's okay. It's not. It is what it is. It's almost like a play. You know, it's almost really was like a play in the 50s, right? I guess, especially live stuff. Like some of the Leave It to Beaver, I guess the sets were more elaborate because they were going to be there for a season or whatever. But this is kind of filmed on location. You can kind of tell, and the lighting's kind of weird, like say blown out. They were just learning all the stuff, I suppose. So anyway, it's kind of interesting just as a 1950s thing instead of watching a lot of the shit from the 50s that I've seen is boring. This was actually kind of interesting.
So what are the similarities, because I've never read the books or seen this television show, to the film version of Casino Royale? That was like 69, right?
I don't remember. That one was okay. It was a wild one, so it's different. It's not a regular Bond movie, but
yeah.
This one, and I like it, but I haven't seen it recently enough. I haven't. I'm not a big enough Bond fan myself to watch these things that often. I don't remember the last time I watched all the Bond movies. It's been a while. The thing about this one, the black and white one, that was interesting is, you know, is it Baccarat? Is the game they play in it?
Yeah,
they explain the rules of it. They explain the rules of it, like in an interesting way, like as part of the dialogue. You know, as part of like the cover, you know, they're explaining the game. James Bond explains the game to another guy. And I thought that was pretty fucking cool because I never knew the game and they literally just explained all the rules. So it's got very few rules. It's kind of neat. I forget who the guy is. I don't watch enough old TV to know. I've seen the guy before and I think I've heard him before, but you know, if he's some other character, I don't know. He might be the Black Hornet or whatever he is, the Green Hornet. Or something like that, because I think I've seen the guy before. He's been in other stuff. He's just so, you know, would have been my grandparents' era, I think. Anything that hasn't been on a plane trapped with other people's what? Oh, you're talking about airplane stuff. Anyway, so there's some movies that you can watch for free. There's links to them. I'll link them here in a bit.
Yeah, and if you do a search for commercial free or public domain, those are like 90% of what I watch of those are actually still commercial free.
Oh, I just put in full movie. I never put in commercial free, so that's interesting. Never thought
Yeah.
about it.
And there are commercial free playlists with, you know, 400 whatever films that they've accumulated. Plus, about 6 months ago or so, in a DGS, we talked about when in a new year the public domain stuff gets bigger because it's available to anyone. So chances are someone's already done a video posting of it. You can download that, throw it into your own editor, and repost it. So in some of those channels, that's where they're not really commercial free. But if you can find the origin one by sort by date uploaded, those are the good ones to go after. And like all the pre-ban films or pre-code films are commercial free. And that's short. You know, you're talking about the hour long for that, program. the Bond show, almost all pre-code movies are sub 1 hour, and I'm not talking about the serials either. That's a completely different thing that gained massive popularity in the 40s and 50s. Back when you'd see a double feature with 2 newsreels and half a dozen cartoons and whatever else.
So Angelina's talking about this. This is what I copyrighted the song, or I copyrighted the show today with this one that I found today. Oh, I guess I have to turn my sound back up.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children.
I can't get enough of that. There's a whole bunch of those things. I barely ever listen to them. For some reason, I listened to that one today, and then it's pretty good. And then I listened to some other ones on that guy's channel, and they're not as good. I don't know half the other songs. I don't know the people that he mashed other people up with. But anyway, that one was pretty good. So that copyrighted the
That's
show.
pretty awesome.
Yeah. Young
If you-
MC.
If you like them kind of things, that channel, well, just type in mashup. You'll find all kinds of channels. That channel has a bunch of they're good. There was like one that was, I guess I have to look in my history. It'll be the easiest way to find it. It was something with mother. What the hell? It was the Temptations. So mother was a Rolling Stone instead of Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Oh yeah. No, that's Danzig.
It was the 3rd of September. That day I'll always remember. Yes, I will. Cause that was the day that my dad died. I never got a chance to see it. Never heard nothing but bad.
It's good, but it just makes me want to listen to Danzig. So I quit listening.
Yeah.
That was about the only 2 good ones on that guy's channel. But I know there's probably a bunch of good ones out there. But that one kind of has the thing where he says something about somebody with a gun. So I figured that was a good way to copyright the show. Anyway,
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. That's Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo Springfield, precursor band with Stephen Stills to Crosby, Stills, Nash Young. It did some really great stuff, and that was epic in its era. That was in 1966 or 7, before Buffalo broke up. And and Young MC, that was just kind of a surprise. I don't know. Well, sometimes it's kind of funny because what you do is you actually pick something that has equal numbers of beats per minute, and that's just the easiest thing for you to do mashers on. And you can do that, with a metronome, or you can do it with a,
but I don't think so. Now, I think this guy's cheating because if you listen to the Springsteen part of it, it's way faster. It's tweaked. So there's something like they've got I don't know if auto-tune does that, but some sort of a tweaker where you can take the one thing. So they're getting some kind of similar line, of course, but I think they're cheating. I don't think they're finding 2 things because it's more like they're mashing them up on that channel. At least they're mashing them up by their titles of their songs. Like they're thinking of 2, or maybe it was like Mad Libs because they seem pretty weird combos. But yeah, I think that would be neat. I'm sure that's a lot of DJ stuff is that. Just taking 2 things that are juxtaposed or whatever and mixing them together.
Yeah, I mean, you could pitch up and down, particularly on an instrumental, but with vocals, you could, unless you're detuning like that, or using an octaver, you sound like a chipmunk. It sounds like a chipmunk. Which is okay for the novelty of something, but those don't bear up to repeated listenings. Unfortunately, they just get stuck in your damn head. So yeah, I mean, you could do it either by matching beats per minute, or you can pitch something up or down. But yeah, the same tempo is, yeah, like I said, a lot easier. But that's cool. Whose page was that?
Oh, I don't know. It just came up in my feed, I think.
Oh, groovy.
Or I've been doing stuff in the other room, and it may have come up. I was watching James Bond movies, and then they end. It'll just play whatever's next, and I think it might have just come up. Or I was clicking something on the other computer earlier, and I clicked something, and it turned into a link, and that I happened to be on the link when it clicked. So I don't remember, but I remember it opened, and I got the beginning, and I was like, oh, I haven't heard. What is that? Young MC in forever, and that was definitely like that's right when I got my car and stuff. So I was listening to the shit out of that cassette tape, like way. I listened to shit out of it. So I was like, oh crap, Young MC is on, and then it turned into that, and I was like, oh dang, that's what these kids are doing these days. That was pretty neat. They don't always match up, or at least they're two songs that I never heard of before. Most of the time, usually it's some boy band that I've never heard of, and some song that I vaguely remember being on the radio, that I've heard before. It's never two that clicked like that. Golden Girls theme matched with Angel of Death from Slayer. I don't know which one Angel of Death is. I only know Slayer from listening to it. I didn't know any records or anything. What's the best gun music? Like gun band? What band is the most gun?
LA Guns?
No way. They're a hair band. Right.
Yeah.
Do they even have a song? Because I got suckered into listening to them, thinking they were something, and they were nothing, right? Or am I crazy?
Right.
They were just a bunch of like.
No, they were second wave of Hollywood. Yeah, at Gazzari's Place and the other clubs on the Strip. I thought I'd sneak it in there. It's the first thing that popped into my head.
No, I don't think it counts because Guns N' Roses doesn't count. Do they do anything guns? Are they even gun? Except for they used them in Terminator. That was way after him, and they only got it because I don't know why, because it was a play on words or something.
Welcome to the jungle. You're gonna die. I don't know.
What? Is there guns in that? No, I know there is a song about guns because whenever I was in the army, I remember somebody defending Guns N' Roses as being good because they had some gun song. I never heard of it.
Well,
it's like some song you had to own the album and listen to the record of the songs that nobody listened to on the other side kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess the other one would be Used to Love Her, Had to Kill Her. I avoided that album.
You can find guns in a lot of country songs.
Probably.
Yeah.
In the lyrics, for sure. In the lyrics.
Say, one of my favorite modern day country singers, Justin Moore, has a song that's just called Guns.
Can this be a shittier version of a song? What the hell's wrong with this search engine? It's horrible. Could you even hear that? Did they not have a record version of this song, Angel of something? Angel of Death? What was that? Did they give you an audio preview when you hover over? Yeah, they give you an audio preview when you hover over on whatever browser I'm on. Yahoo browser. Yahoo browser sucks, by the way. I can't get one that isn't like live or whatever. There's no just studio. Is there a studio version of that Angel song?
Don't know.
Death Angel on MTV? That might be.
Okay, well, I want to toss out, but not necessarily the band or its name, but one of my favorite Skinner tunes is Saturday Night Special. It's got a barrel that's blue and cold. Ain't good for nothing except putting a man 6 feet in a hole. So, that's about concealed carry and shootings and whatever else, and then then flipping a little bit more modern, we got like, I don't like the song at all, but like Aerosmith, Jamie's Got a Gun. That's like a domestic violence thing.
Well, and it was also massive, so that got guns out there. I don't think it was in a good way, though. Did you see the parody to it?
Don't know.
It's I can't think of her name. Anyway, there's a parody to it. It's sort of like one of the chicks who's like a female version of Weird Al Yankovic does one.
Oh, huh.
All right,
Well,
so we got
one of my favorite bands is the Clash, and they have guns strewn out, across every decade that they were around. Tommy Gun, Guns of Brixton. It was in answer to a lot of Thatcher's England and the monarchy. So way more effective than anything that Sex Pistols did or anybody like that. So
What about 38 Special?
that's good. Yeah, there's a band name for sure. For sure.
well, but do they have any name?
I don't know if they have any real gun stuff in their songs though.
So Ghost singing Guns N' Roses, like I say, they put it out there in their art for damn sure. But there's like no songs about guns or nothing. And I don't think it's not like that was definitely a time when it was all about image and blah, blah, blah. So it's not like any of them were carrying around a gun or had like a guitar shaped like a gun or something. They just had some good art with it, which is fine. I'm not, it's still guns.
Well,
and they were definitely.
Ted Nugent definitely has. If you look up and display the graphic for Weekend Warriors, there's a guy in my high school in the 70s, a student, when that album came out, contemporary to it, he did a canvas that was like 5 wide, 8 high, or 10 high. It wasn't, to 12 by 12 blown up dimension, but that caught, it was photorealistic as hell. And then
suggestion.
What?
Velvet Revolver. I love Velvet Revolver. It's a good one.
Yeah. Velvet Revolver, totally.
Do I know any of their songs? I don't think I know any of their songs. That's like real moody music from the 60s.
Yeah. No. That's Velvet Underground. Velvet Revolver is a project band with help me out, Barbecue. I'd let those guys slide.
Slash.
Yeah. There we go.
Other guys.
Oh, it's like where a bunch of people from other bands were like, hey, let's make a band for a minute.
Yeah, heavy hitter. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think, do I know any of their songs then? I was thinking of that other one, some English band. Nick Cave. 16-year-old girl in the 80s. Nick Cave. Holy crap.
No, Nick is still performing. I saw him 2 years ago in Minneapolis, and he positively levitated. And not only that, but like for reals, he came out into the audience and did a serenade back and forth. It was incredible. People are standing on seats, and the only thing that I don't like these days is everybody's shooting video of it to boot, and like how distracting that must be for a performer, because you're just staring into these lights, in a circle. And Frank Black from the Pixies, saw him in a basement venue, and it was, there was no stage. So, it's on the floor, and he got super sick of people, just holding up their camera, their phones. And he's just like, all I see is red lights. So I don't want to feel like I need to like turn around to avoid it. So everybody just put your phones away. And most people, cooperated with it. But I've been other concert experiences where bands just hate it. And I do too.
Yeah, I like that. We're like, hey, this is a thing and we're all sharing it. And you paid for it. So here it is.
Yeah. It's a certain point in time. It's a point in time as well. I understand, somebody's bootlegging the show, that's almost a passive activity, and then you get to listen to it.
You paid to go there. Why can't you pay to remember it?
Yeah.
Why can't you take it home and remember it? What the hell? What's it really that guy? Was he seeing everybody's eyes and caring about what they fucking look back at him? No, he just doesn't want people pointing red dots at him. Say, put paper over your red dot if you don't like the red dot so bad. But anyway, so now we got Sex Pistols. Again, like, I don't know. I remember the Sex Pistols a little bit, but do they have a lot of gun? I guess, like you said, there must be some Europe songs about guns. I don't know.
Screw the Pistols, go with the Clash. The Pistols were Malcolm McLaren's band. He started it out of his bondage boutique. None of those guys, Glenn Matlock, and they did have some talent there, but you pick John Lydon, aka Johnny Rotten, based on the fact that he like hung out at the store, and so it's this guy who's just like totally, gaslighting the European audience into thinking that, safety pins and torn clothes are, the next big danger to our youth. But no, stick with the Clash. Easily more political, way more accurate, way more working class, way more dedicated, and tons more talented.
All right. And then you get Five Finger Death Punch. I'd heard of them, but I never heard any other songs. So.
Yeah, they've got some stuff that's pretty gun oriented. A lot of them, I believe, are veterans and whatnot.
Well, they're gun people.
Yep.
A lot of gun people like them. I don't, like I said, if I've heard them, I don't know it. Like there's speed metal or something. I'm not angry anymore, and I get headaches when I listen to stuff that hurts me. So I don't seek out that stuff anymore. But I used to listen to that kind of stuff. From what I've heard, when people turn it up during a live chat and they're too chicken to actually play it, like I just didn't get copyrighted. I've only ever heard it sounds like Slayer or something, right? Okay. Dr. Dre, now you're talking. There's a ton of guns in rap songs. That's some of the best freaking guns are in rap songs. AK plus 50 cool points. Yep. And it's being quoted everywhere. Oh, they do covers? Cheney's Got a Gun.
Huh.
I know, I haven't heard that one. The one I was thinking of it's still Jamie's Got a Gun, but she's like in a thing. Anyway. I don't know what that is. Smiths.
Yeah, absolutely. Manchester band, first wave of.
I was way angrier at that time in my life. I wasn't listening to a bunch of dudes like being mellow from England. I didn't listen to anything from England, really, that I can think of. I mean, I've heard stuff from England. Maybe I can't think of anything that I'm listening to that came from England though. But I knew the Smiths, but I hung out with people that listen to Smiths, but most of them were girls. Sorry, I don't know too many dudes listen to Smiths.
Got the whole catalog on vinyl.
Huh?
Have the whole catalog on vinyl, import and domestic.
There was definitely a lot of them too, and that's why it was either you were into them or you weren't. Some of these things you can casually be into because they only have like an album or one good song. But then there's certain groups that you're either into them or you ain't. I think.
Yeah.
At least that's the way I get into stuff. And if I'm into them, then I'm into them, and I wanted, like you say, get all their stuff. And you can only do that for so many people. At least for me, I wasn't independently wealthy enough.
Yeah, as Wheeled and Well Armed is pointing out, on Murder Ballads, that started off with what is a folk, basically a folk song from the South called Stack-a-Lee. And so it's either Stack-a-Lee, Stagger-Lee, Staggo-Lee. There are so many variations on it. But yeah, it's a murder ballad. And Nick Cave's album is just phenomenal. Definitely worth a once through listen. If
I thought he's all mopey. He's like the king of mopey. Let's put a bunch of black eye makeup on, get black straight hair, and get a dark stage and go.
No, way more a poet, closer to Leonard Cohen than anything else.
All right,
prolific as hell. But yeah, the Stagger Lee phenomena that's been going on for about 200 years now. Though it's a modern cautionary tale as well. But yeah, definitely worth checking out.
Miranda Lambert does a song called Gunpowder and Lead. Let's say, which is just about her old man that beat her up getting out of jail, and she's sitting on the front porch with her double barrel waiting for him to get home.
Yeah.
Right. So I know what Stagger Lee's supposed to sound like. So let's see what this sounds like.
Yeah, and I mean Hendrix's Machine Gun. If you have the Band of Gypsies album, that's a live recording. That's awesome. The sonic bombast is even better than what he did on the stage with Star Spangled Banner in '69 at Woodstock. It's just such a great song. It is, as long as we're being semi-era related here. Happiness is a Warm Gun by the Beatles. I mean, all the young women, during Beatlemania, well, toward the end of Beatlemania, not the early 60s version. That's even a really great song. And outside of Adolescence, I've tried to avoid anything with Paul McCartney in it, but yeah.
Let's see. So Marty Robbins, El Paso. So I just listened to a bit of this Nick Cave, Staggerly. No, thank you. El Paso from Marty Robbins. I can get behind that one. I Shot the Sheriff. All right. That one's
Wait, which version though?
Well, that's the thing. He just said the song, and it's been covered by a lot of people. I don't know. There's some bad ones, I suppose, but there's a lot of good ones, I think.
I can tolerate the Bob Marley's. I just have no time for Eric Clapton.
Oh. Ironic, John Lennon wrote the song. Well, no, probably not ironic. It's ironic or it's not ironic. It's probably whatever. Part of the guy's twisted BS that he decided to do that instead of squishing with a piano or something. Oh, I don't know which one he's saying. Which one of the best bands? He's saying the Smiths? I don't know. I'm like I say, I just, at the time when the Smiths were out, I was listening to Suicidal Tendencies and Dead Milkmen and going to see that stuff live. I wasn't going to listen to a band that was quiet and, my friends that were girls listened to, like, we weren't listening to the same music. So I'm not saying they're bad. I just never really listened to them. Five Finger also does a pretty good House of the Rising Sun. Is there guns in that one? That's the violin one, right? Oh, I think I might have actually heard that one.
There is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun. Yeah, that's
the other one is the Devil in Georgia one. Yeah, okay.
Five Finger Death
Charlie Daniels.
Some really good covers. They also did Company.
It's all real fast and loud and guitars.
Not the covers so much. The covers are a little bit heavier than the originals, but still good to listen to. But then again, I mean, I listen to pretty much everything, so you're not going to really hear me knock much.
Then we're getting the Beatles Revolver. I mean, I have Revolver somewhere. I had it on CD. It was one of the first CDs I got. But I got suckered into it because I bought it. Obviously, it says Revolver on there. But there wasn't no gun song on it, was there?
Nope.
I'm trying to think. I don't know why they
Shoot
called
So
it.
Heavy is the best track from that.
Did they call it Revolver because it was a record or because of the gun? I don't think I ever knew, actually.
No clue.
I was like a big fan of the Beatles in the day. I don't have a problem with them. I was just listening to something about Paul McCartney today. I was driving around in the van. I was flipping through the radio, and it stopped on either, how when you're flipping through, it'll stop on a song. You're listening to that station for a minute, or I had to do something and stop flipping. So anyway, it was on a station for a moment, and they were talking about Paul McCartney having too much money or something. Like he's got $1 billion. They think he's got $1 billion with all the rights to everything he's got. And because he also has everything that his wife had. Linda died, and now he's got all Linda's stuff, and she wasn't poor. So, and I don't know. I mean, yeah, when they said he might have $1 million or $1 billion, I was thinking, is there really that much anymore? Like for somebody like Paul McCartney, I wouldn't think that's out of the question.
Especially, not at all.
Oh, and then what did I hear? This has nothing to do with guns, so I apologize. But that Fleetwood Mac song that's on that guy with a skateboard who has a feather tattooed on his head. There's like a meme of this guy skateboarding with the Fleetwood Mac song. That song, Dreams, has hit the top 20, and they're like, this is the only time a song hit the top 20 after 34 years or whatever. It was 1974 or something the last time it hit the top 20.
Yep.
So think about, because I've been watching these things. I got hiccups thinking about, or I was watching about that one studio or whatever, and they were talking about how the people in the band who write the songs become rich, and the people in the bands who sing the songs or play the songs, or they get a couple of bucks sometimes, but they don't necessarily make any money in the long run. So I was thinking about that. Whoever the hell wrote Dreams is just sitting around going do do do, and all of a sudden they're making bank today, probably. Like whenever their next residual comes in, it's going to be pretty big, I bet.
Yeah, each member of that band co-penned either the music or the lyrics for a majority of the stuff. And after it went from the Peter Green era into the Buckingham Nicks era, it shifted significantly. Both of them had already been playing in a folk duo sort of thing in Cali for years. And that cemented them getting the job. And so by the time you get to, say, Tusk, which most people know because of the title track, the marching band at USC, it was almost exclusively them. But Christy McVie was still throwing in stuff. Mick Fleetwood never really did much more than screw people's wives and be one of the tallest drummers in rock.
So anyway, that was what bands are the most gun, and I don't think we got enough votes on any one of them to have even a bracket. Plus, I don't know if we hit the most gun. I think that Five Finger Death Punch might be the most gun because it's pretty much, from what I can tell, focused on gun stuff and created by and kind of for the gun community, as opposed to like being a bunch of musicians that go to Nashville or Hollywood or wherever the hell musicians go to be musicians when they grow up. Like they didn't say like, hey, let's be musicians and then we'll write some songs about guns. It's like they were gun people that started to be musicians, I think. Where I don't know if there's any other bands like that. I don't think I've ever heard of an origin story where it's like, oh, we were going shooting all the time and then we became the Beach Boys or something like that.
I'm going to have to throw Miranda Lambert into that group. I'm going to say she's a country singer, but she's very pro-gun, brings out guns onto the stage all the time, stuff like that. I'm going to say, so she would have been one of those ones that was a gun person, then became a singer, and then she just, every so often, she'll have some sort of song about guns on one of her albums.
Melissa Egbert, what'd you call her?
Miranda Lambert.
I never heard of her. Do I know any of her songs?
You might. I don't know. She was married to Blake Shelton. She's pretty big as far as the female artists go on the country scene. Honestly, the only one that might be bigger than her right now will probably be Carrie Underwood.
Clover says she knows her, or he knows her.
Okay, so what hype music did you guys listen to when you were in the service? Same question for Ghost and Clover. Anybody who served.
That wasn't a thing. That's fake. I don't remember you turn it on a radio or anything. Like if you had a radio, it was a little thing that ran off of like C cells, because this was a long time ago. So it would be like C cells or some shit, and there'd be two of them in there, and you'd listen to it under your pillow at night. And that was probably against the rules. I'm trying to remember if that was even legit. That might have been legit later, but we cut the ground for that or something, or we were doing it because other people told us we could or something, but I don't remember. But there was no such thing as like, let's turn on the radio and do stuff. And I don't remember. And any time else, like when you're not in training, it's just, you don't have radios around. So I guess somebody might have brought a radio to some unit somewhere, but not in any unit I was ever in. You had Army stuff and there's no Army radio. So I think that's a movie thing. I don't know of anybody that has like a boombox strapped to a bungee cord or something and they turn it on. Like you get in trouble. Like you can't do that. Like you're there to kill people or not get killed or whatever. You're not playing a radio.
So you're in an APC on the way into a hot zone, and
I
you
didn't
just
do anything like that. I have no idea what happens on an APC. They didn't even have well, they had APCs, I suppose, but I was in when there was Jeeps. There wasn't even Humvees yet, but I didn't do anything. So I have no idea what they do in a hot zone. But I'm almost positive they don't strap boom boxes to bungee cords on shit and like blast out a radio while they're about to go do shit, because they're probably more worried about not dying and doing whatever the hell they're supposed to be doing. I'm guessing. I think Apocalypse Now is fake. But no, I don't know. And like PT and shit, like there's never any radios. There might have been, I mean, like for an event like the 4th of July, they might have played the radio or something on the loudspeakers or something, but it would have been, just whatever's on the radio. I don't know. Marines might be doing different stuff. They had to go get killed, so they might listen to music on the way. Bob's out there, Canadian. We've been talking about music. Back in the day, what we would do is have Bob, who's Canadian, so he could barely speak in our cadence, and he would speak these lyrics, and often I would give him rap lyrics, and then people would have to sort of be like whatever that song or that game show was where you had to name that tune. It was sort of like the first person to figure out what the song was based off of Bob trying to say the lyrics in Canadian. Pretty good. That lasted for maybe episodes 300 through 600, something like that, I'm guessing. Maybe not that many. Maybe 200 through 400. Oh no, you've been watching back episodes. DJ, did you see any of those where Bob recited the lyrics from something?
Nope, not yet. I'm looking forward to it.
I've got a spreadsheet somewhere with a shit ton, a whole tab that's just a shit ton of lyrics that are all, I went in and found a bunch of lyrics that were all the like songs where they said gun, said something about a gun somewhere and got that line because we couldn't play it. So instead we had a Canadian read it. Let's see. Don't take your guns in the last gunfighter. Oh, I don't know that one. It's the don't take your guns to when we are. No, what's that one?
That's a good one.
Which one is that?
Don't take your guns to town, boy.
Yeah. And then what's the last gunfighter? I don't think I know that one. Though I would have imagined I know all the Johnny Cash songs. Now, since we're talking about guns and music, and since it's Entertainment Wednesday, and this has nothing to do with guns either, I'm gonna throw it out there. I watched a documentary on Zappa, and I only knew Zappa because of Moon Zappa and Valley Girl. But yeah, it's pretty neat. I never had any idea about Frank Zappa and his whole thing, so it's pretty neat. If you're interested in music and shit, it might be interesting to watch that. It's made by his one kid, not Dweezil, the one younger than Moon. Asmod or Ashad or some shit.
Yeah, he's one of the 20th century's greatest American composers, no doubt. You want to talk about a back catalog? His basement's full of it. He had his own imprint, Barking Pumpkin, after the Mothers wrapped up. Mothers of Invention, that is.
And it seemed like I didn't have any idea how much of like pro freedom and like against censorship and just like valid he was, and then did stuff about it instead of just being that way. He like put stuff on the line and he made his money, and then wasn't looking for it. So he made his money and then was satisfied. So because he wasn't pursuing it, it seems like, this is made by his kid. So obviously I have no idea. I don't know shit about Zappa except for like say his Moon and the one song. So
Frank was the first person to volunteer, and he stood out front amongst all the other people who felt the call during the PMRC era in music.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing.
Music Research Center with,
and he wasn't being attacked. He was just, he didn't like the concept, so he stood up and did something, and they couldn't do nothing about it, or at least the people the people who brought it up couldn't say nothing to him because he didn't do anything to be censored. So it wasn't like he was defending himself. He was defending the right of other people, and that went a long way. And then, well, in this thing, it goes to where Czechoslovakia saw that and had him over to be their like basically their ambassador. And anyway, it's just interesting. Yeah, he was like I say, like you're just saying, he was bigger than just a music guy. He was all about freedom and freedom of speech and doing stuff validly and not for selling out and being bullshit just because it's easier, whatever. But for the real art of it, it's pretty neat. I knew he was more than just a rock star because obviously he wasn't that much of a rock star. I just had no idea what all. And this was a pretty decent, modern, hour and 50-minute, whatever, summary of all the shit he did.
My favorite quote from the hearings, the PMRC hearings, was when Zappa said that trying to put a sticker on an album is a bit like trying to cure dandruff by decapitation.
They made it sound like his biggest, his contribution that he liked was that he gave him the idea of printing the lyrics on the record so that parent could take a look at what was in there, and as a compromise. And it looked like, most of the fascists were like, "Oh yeah, that's a compromise. Like that's a branch that we can accept, and you've compromised, and now we've got our soundbite or whatever." I don't know if that's how it neutralized it. Let's put it that way. So anyway, I wasn't really paying attention. When you say this was the 90s, had to be the 90 something.
Yeah.
Was it the 2000s?
Well, the PMRC was in the late 80s.
Let's see. It's one hour mark. Did we go? You're playing a lot of copyrighted stuff, so it might be being pulled, or it could just be because Chris logged off. The internet was like, we're done.
So we have a question from Gun Library Garrett to cover from last night.
Oh yeah,
good memory.
Yep. He wanted to know if there's any states that are getting reciprocity this year. So I'm guessing, like, if there's any states that are expanding their reciprocities, maybe.
Yeah, so that's the only way you're going to know that I'm aware of is to go to every single state and look. And there are a couple of places that have in the past done that. I don't know if they're still doing it or whatever, but I'm sure there's somebody out there doing that. And then it would be probably they would be the ones to be the most, like, put their finger on the pulse to know what's changing. But the problem is, like, Arizona and Nevada is the one I'm aware of because it's SHOT Show or not, whether or not we can carry a SHOT Show, basically. That one goes back and forth. In the years that I've had my CCW, that's gone back and forth. I don't even know. I quit counting how many times, at least 3 or 4 times, where it started out we weren't reciprocity, then we were. Then Nevada changed their mind, and then I think they changed it back. So, and it comes from the state who's deciding whether or not they're going to reciprocate. That state usually looks at the other state and says, do you have a picture on your license? And if that state doesn't, then they usually say, no, we need you to have a license or a picture. Or maybe it's a different characteristic, like, do you have a class? Like, oh, you don't require a class? Then no. So what happens is, everything happens in 2019, but then in 2019 in July, a state says, oh, now we have constitutional carry, so anybody can carry. So now that changes things between them and 3 states. So you'd have to then go to those states. They'd have to have already figured out that the changes happened with Arizona, made the change on their website, updated it, and then you could monitor it. So it's a thing that has to be kind of like a radar. It has to be monitored sort of often, and then with some sort of awareness to keep track of when things are changing, because it's actually really difficult to go in and ask each state, which states do you still reciprocate with? Because it's not like each state has, well, here's the list and here's the last time we updated it. Some states will say, here's the last time we updated it, but most of them will just say, here's the list. And like I say, when there's changes happening, it's kind of important when they're giving you, or which list they're giving you, like what date the list was. So I think that one is a particularly difficult thing. And I would be scared if we ever got to a point where somebody could offer that information quickly, because it would mean something is very aware or powerful or able. And if it was able to do that, it would be scary to think what else it could do. So that's one of those things that I think we have to not be satisfied, but I think actually be okay with the fact that that's something we have to go figure out, or we have to keep monitoring ourselves, at least at this point, because the alternative is to have giant computers that just know way too much.
As far as reciprocity maps, there are a bunch of phone apps for that kind of thing. But what occurred to me while you were speaking there was that for instance, I have a AAA membership, and part of the membership benefits are that you can get what they call a triptych, which is they compile your route for you, and indications, not only a map for each page as you progress along your trip turn by turn, but then what's available, kind of like the OTR guys who I don't know if they still do this. I got to guess that they had sort of a combination almanac and roadmap thing that what the services are at every exit along all the interstates. So you can be a little bit more you can predict a little bit better than just paying attention to road signs. But I think that AAA, and I'll talk to the woman that I deal with at the office that I use for that, and see if that isn't something that she could kick up to supervision, and then follow it up with a letter from me saying how useful that would be and how they could prevent a lot of potential harm, ameliorate. So.
Well,
You can always call
saying that the stream went wonky a while ago. That was 5 minutes ago. So we haven't seen any other comment come up, but I have seen the viewers drop off. So are we still on? Are we still live? Their comment come up, but I have seen the viewers drop off. So still on, still on. Their comment come up, but I have seen the viewers drop off. So still on, still on. That's a triple audio echo. You're welcome. That is what people with vision issues deal with when it's the equivalent of looking at a mirror in a bathroom, when you hold the two sides of the mirror up and you stick your head in there and it looks like you've got a billion heads in a circle or whatever. That's the audio equivalent of it.
Yeah, tell me about it. Sometimes having to deal with that through tinnitus is hyper distracting.
That's pretty much what it's like for me. You think about having the what do you call it? The mirror in the bathroom that's got the three sections, and you can pull the two edges out, so you can stick your head into that channel. And now, if you look left and right, there's like a ring of continuous ones. That's what the Daily Gun Show is. There's billions of them. There's thousands of them. You just open the thing up, you stick your head in, and it's a billion of them. They're all exactly the same. You look left, they all look left. You look right, they all look right.
Vanishing point.
Mm-hmm. One side is at 22 short, the other side is at 50 BMG. All right, well, so we're an hour in. It got to the infinity mark. Clover just indicated that it's hit the infinity level. So do we have any other topics? What's going on? We're in the middle of that one still. From Garrett.
No, I think we covered that one pretty well. I mean, other than the plethora of concealed carry reciprocity maps that are out online, I know USCCA has one, which I think they're probably the most reliable. But other than going to your local sheriff and saying, "Hey, did anything change this year or whatnot?" I think those are only real options.
State Patrol will be another one. And usually when you cross over a state border, it'll have the State Patrol phone number. is that they will certainly know. Maybe not the municipal regulations, but
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. At least I don't know if they are required to recite the laws to you. Like if you called up the police and said, like, what's the laws on turkey farming or something? Like, are they going to be like, oh, let me find out. Hold on. Let me go grab a law book and tell you. Is that something police do? Because
I've never had a problem with getting a solid answer, taking down badge name, badge number, etc. To use to refute any difficulties while I'm still traveling in that state. Plus, it's relatively anonymous. You can do it from a rest area, and there's usually one not far over a state line. Anyway, just as likely to hit a trooper as a toilet. At least here in the Midwest.
All right, well, Ozzy's out there. We had a couple of people jumping in on the text chat today, mostly just saying hello. Though, do we get any? We got quite a few suggestions when we were doing the gun music section there. Anybody else has any other topics though? Otherwise, there's other things that could be being did.
Yeah, I saw one of Ozzy's new creations, black leather with red stitching, and it was a standout piece. Really liked seeing that. I haven't seen many. I don't think I've ever seen any other of Ozzy's creations, but I am particularly enamored with it.
Well, yeah, he's been doing them for a while now, and he'll talk about them, share us like some of the elements of them or pieces as he's getting them together, and then the finished products usually when, well, I'm not all of them, but when we're talking and people are mentioning it. All right, well,
Well, it doesn't sound like we're going to get any more gun for the night, so I will give a salute to the text chat. It was great seeing that many people out there and commenting, particularly those who aren't solidly on the West Coast. But whenever Owl and Anchor drops into the chat, it's nice. Maybe she'll be able to join us sometime later this week.
I don't know. California sounds like they're going crazy with restrictions and stuff. I think I talked about this yesterday. Arizona's having like a 8 o'clock curfew or some shit. So I don't know what's going on.
What? Curfew? Yeah. How are they going to enforce? Oh, man, that's not good.
Machine guns and machetes, they said. If you're close enough, they'll machete you. And if you're like further than machete distance, then they're going to machine gun you. After 8 o'clock, if you go outside, they're going to machine gun you down. It's the state, so they have the authority and the right, and they got the equipment. So it's safe. It's for your safety, and it's for the safety of others, for grandparents.
Oh, there's a band or group, whatever you want to call it, that we didn't mention. Machine Gun Kelly, he's a rapper. I heard that he's got a lot of guns in his songs.
I never heard that guy. I've heard some rappers, but I usually get the lead or something from somebody, and then I'll listen to them. But nobody's ever mentioned that one, so I've never looked into it. I rarely go out looking for rappers. I usually get them recommended and either like them or not, and look more into them. Is that an old one or a new one? Do you know?
It's a newer one. I listen to a lot of old rap, not so much the newer stuff, but I've got a few family members that listen to this stuff, and every once in a while I'll pick up on something.
Your kids seem a little young to be listening to gangster rap, but hey, you raise your kids how you want.
I don't normally let them listen to it, but I guess it depends on what it is.
I just assumed you were talking about the kids.
and say, no, they pretty much just listen to country with me and whatever the heck their mother plays. But
Child abuse?
for listening to country, it might be.
Making little kids listen to country? I was made to listen to The Gambler when I was young. And I feel that's every time I've lost at gambling, I blame my mother for making me listen to The Gambler when I was little. So it's beyond my control. I can't help it. I know when to hold them and I know when to fold them and when to walk away, when to run and stuff. But that ain't all the rules you need. Like you got to hit 21 sometimes. He never talks about that in the song.
No, but you're never supposed to count your money while you're sitting at the table because there's time enough to count when the dealing's done.
Never done it, but I've also lost. So I just recently watched The Gambler again. It's free on YouTube. There's a ton of stuff that's free on YouTube. And my other place, my private movie theater, is glitchy because a bunch of jerks keep watching movies off of there. So it ruins all the bandwidth for me. So whenever it gets clunky, I watch the YouTube free videos. And they're shittier because they censor them as no boobs or nothing. But they're free. So I just watched The Gambler. I'm not going to watch Gambler 2. I remember really liking The Gambler when I was a little kid. Star Wars came on TV once, and I think the only thing I ever cared about as much is when Gambler came on TV for a second time. Like it was on once. I don't know if you're all too little, maybe, but whenever it came on the first time, it was like, hey, The Gambler's coming on, and it was like, all right, stop the presses. Kenny Rogers could be on TV, and then that happened, and everybody was like, gambling is horrible. And then I forget how long it was, maybe sometime later, but while it was still hot, they're like, what we're going to do? Put The Gambler back on TV. And everybody was like, hot damn, like that's never happened before. Holy shit. And the world stopped. We all watched The Gambler again. So I remember it being like a big deal and liking it. And I watched it recently and I'm like, this is basically like watching Charlie's Angels. There's almost no difference. It's the same makeup and sets and costumes and I mean, like the same cameras as Brady Bunch and Charlie's Angels and all that stuff. It's pretty bad. Oh, really?
Did you ever see Six Pack? That was also a Kenny Rogers film. I think it might have been Anthony Michael Hall's first.
No,
I loved that when I was a kid. My brother and I used to reenact scenes from it.
I was that baseball movie. I was my age, so by the time that one came out, I felt it was a rip-off of Bad News Bears, like the real one. So for me, I was like, come on, because I was a little too old for it already. I was old enough where that would have been my little brother, so I would have been like, I had no time for a Kenny Rogers movie that was about my little brother's age, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's see. So on off topic, I created an account and uploaded my first videos to Rumble. So then I've seen the Rumble thing. Is it a YouTube straight like gun streamer, or is it like that deal where you upload the video and it gets redistributed like that TAC hub or like that other hub where it doesn't actually exist online? It's a shared distribution thing. I haven't gone over there and looked. Has anybody else used Rumble yet?
No, I don't.
Ozzy saying he grew up on country music. I grew up on country music too, but like shitty pop country, like Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton and stupid shitty country.
Mickey Gilley?
Huh?
Mickey Gilley. Remember when in 1980 when Urban Cowboy came out?
Oh God, no, I remember, but I rebelled against it. I hated it, and it was cheap. I knew at the time it was cheap, shitty country. Like I knew it was bubblegum country. Like it was not authentic. It was just whatever pop, and it's catchy or whatever. That's fine. But it's just, I knew at the time I shouldn't be liking it. It wasn't good. But I was a little kid and I had to listen to it as child abuse. But then as soon as I could listen to what I felt like, I quit listening to country. I didn't live too close to the big city. I ain't listening to country music. Come on, man. Let's see. So, and plus I hung out with a lot of truckers. So obviously a lot of country. Related to Kenny Rogers through a marriage. Six Pack is a great movie. Ugh. Kids. Still trying to figure out exactly what it does. So far, it seems the search is poor. We're not sure anybody finds a video. That's the thing about that other one. I can't remember what that name of the other one. You know the one I'm talking about where whenever everybody made one of the big moves from YouTube before Streamer, and when there was only the one other option that I don't like, people were moving to this other BitChute. I think it's BitChute. Is that the one? One of them is literally the same software as GunStreamer, so that's not the one I'm talking about. But the one I'm talking about, you upload your video to it, quote unquote, but then it just takes your video, slices it into like a loaf of sliced bread, and then drops a piece of your video on like a copy of each slice on like 12 people's computers. Each slice gets copied on 12 computers. So whenever somebody needs the whole loaf of bread, there's 144 computers that can compile the 12 slices that are needed very quickly. So it's shared distribution. At least that's how I understand it. The problem is that requires a bunch of dinguses to connect their hard drives to this system so that those slices of bread copies can live all over the place. And when some dingus takes his computer offline, there's 11 slices of bread. And if some dingus also has viruses, then ugh. So I don't have any interest in being part of an infrastructure that's vulnerable like that. Like that doesn't seem strong and lastful. That seems like a shady way to hide stuff and to depend on a whole bunch of people that I just don't see it happening. But I don't want to.
Have you ever done any of the bit sharing? You know, where you log on and you download, and then you're kicking it out in your upload. So you're uploading
exactly
download.
What I'm talking about. It's exactly what I'm talking about.
I was just wondering.
No, I try not to do that. I think it's vulnerable and not the way to do it. I mean, it would work if everyone. It was like communism. If everyone was down with it and there was no crime, it would work great. But that's not the way people are. So if everyone could leave all the computers on, yeah, it'd be great and fast. But in real life, hard drives die and people, don't have electricity or they're not on right now, and that could be particularly vulnerable. Not just for security, but for usefulness. Like if your videos are on 12 people's computer and they all quit the service, your video's not there anymore. So, with a YouTube, the vulnerability is if YouTube decides your video is not there anymore, it's not there anymore. So nothing's permanent. It's just that I don't see that as being a more permanent solution. If it was successful and it was large, then maybe, but it's tiny and it's niche. It's very extreme. It's sort of like Parler. Parler could be great, except the only people that went to Parler are all the angry people that got kicked off the other platforms because they're so political. So all they are is yelling about politics so loud over there, it's deafening. And they're just all singing the same tune or yelling at each other, I think. I guess they're not yelling at each other on Parler. They're all singing the same tune, various songs of the same tune. So nothing's perfect, but it's good that we're trying new things because even if we don't use them, having some gun content out there is still, I think, effective. And I suppose Clover probably thinks so too. Let's see. I do pretty well on Brighton. I don't know what that is. Usually get views. Is that a city in England? I'm pretty sure it's a city in England. So Clover's like Jerry Lewis or like Knight Rider. He's popular in Europe. Actually gets views and comments. Same with. Are you saying HugeTube? Brighton is Alex Jones' platform in England. So that's interesting. He had to go to England because of his political views. I can't imagine. Oh, are you just saying it gets views and comments the same way with HugeTube? Or are you saying that HugeTube is the same way? Because HugeTube loads. Both of those typically do better than GunStreamer. It sucks for me. Yeah, GunStreamer, we don't know what happened with GunStreamer, right? Like whatever happened. I've never heard anything from anybody about it since whatever happened in March or something. Related to Loretta Lynn. That's Coal Miner's Daughter?
Yeah.
I remember Coal Miner's Daughter, and that's it.
Yeah, Jack White and Steve got together for an album.
Was that a movie or a song only? It was a movie, right?
Which?
It started off as a song, then I think they made a movie out of it.
Yeah, I think they made a movie. I should have said, is it a movie or a TV movie? But I remember it was a song and they made a movie of it. But I just don't remember if it was like a TV movie or if it was a real movie. But,
are you thinking about Norma Ray?
No.
Sally Field? Oh, okay. My bad.
No, Coal Miner's Daughter was something. I remember watching it because it was not a song I was listening to. Let's see. So anyway, yeah, we got a bunch of different stuff happening out there. We're trying to keep up on with lags and everybody being too scared or not 2A enough to jump into this link that keeps being posted right here. You can never tell if they're just scared or if they're just not 2A enough. Basically, what we've got is a piece of 2x4, and it's right about this level of 2A. So if you're this 2A, you can go right past it. But if you're not 2A enough, you can get knocked in the head with it. So it's like when you got two people chatting and three people waiting to see what they're going to say, and then the silence in between.
One of the things I would say about Loretta Lynn was she and Jack White from White Stripes teamed up for an album about 5 or so years ago, and it was pretty goddamn good. It's one of the few, one of the few country releases that I've purchased new in the last
Loretta
20 years.
Still alive? Holy crap! I would have thought she'd.
Oh yeah.
She's still alive. Well, I guess she's like Dolly Parton.
Mm-hmm.
She's still alive.
Oh yeah. She doesn't even look that old with all that.
Yeah, pretty soon you're going to be able to walk through a tube that's got a bunch of oxygen in it and pressure, and you'll have to take a nap in there or something. And when you come out, you'll be 25 years younger. So that means Dolly Parton will jump through that tube because he's got the money for that kind of tube. And so that means 25. Dolly Parton's going to come out 25 years younger. How much younger is that? Is she still going to be like 60 or some shit? She's pretty old.
Yeah.
I don't know if they haven't determined if you jump through the tube twice or if you go through the tube twice, she might come out at whatever that would be 40, and she'd probably hang out there. I would imagine anybody in their right mind would go back to 40 and not 30 or 20, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be worth going back to 20 or 30 unless a whole bunch of other people jump through the tube 4 times and come out at 20, and then everybody's just going to be 20. But I would think you'd want to be more than 20 or 30, I think.
Well, what about Willie? He could go back 65 years.
Well, like I say, I don't know. I don't think. Well, I guess we're just going to start finding out as soon as it becomes more of a thing.
So how is this different than an oxygen tent?
I don't know the specifics, but it sounded like you go in there for like more time. It is an oxygen tent. It's an oxygen tent in a barometric tube, so it had something to do with probably somebody that was getting the bends or something. I don't know why. Or I think there's other diseases you get stuck in a tube for, like they can pressure other diseases out of you. I think certain cancers and things, if you put you in a tube and put pressure in there, the cancers will squirt right out of you. Like I'm trying to think, like if you have shrimp and you soak it in milk and the poop will come out. It's like that. So there's other diseases. They probably figured out like, oh crap, we put this guy in here to get rid of his cancer, to squirt the cancer out. And then he came out 25 years younger. Like, what the hell? And then they put somebody else in and they, adjust the dials and they came out like 40 years younger. They're like, oh no, that's too many. And then the next guy came out 10 years younger. So they tuned it right in.
How might this be related to the iron lung?
Well, you just sit inside an iron lung and it sucks and blows you. But this is living inside a room like an apartment. It's just under pressure. It would be like if you had an apartment. It'd basically like do a scuba dive. Like just go down there and be under pressure. So it'd be like there's going to be little apartments, probably tubes, like glass tubes, I'm guessing. Because why not? If you're going to have to be under the ocean for a length of time and to experience the pressure, and then you have to. I think it said you have to do it for like 30 minutes a bunch of times in a week. So just go down there, like just hang out down there. Unless there's some problem. I don't think there's a problem with hanging out down there. Other people have done it. So you'll just take a vacation under the ocean. And why not, if you're going to be under the ocean for a week, why not do it in some sort of a big clear room, right? Like some kind of bubble, some plastic bubble. So, some kind of a hub, like you go down and you're in the hub where you get to your restaurant and your gift shop and whatever the hell's in the hub. And then you go out some little tube to a bubble and there's your little bubble and you got the whole ocean above you, some kind of fancy coral reef garden around you. Sharks will come up and sniff you or look at you or whatever. You could probably wear like a meat suit, like a big meat costume, like a T-bone steak, and then sharks would come up and look at you more. turtles that come up, swim at you. It'd be amazing. And then you come out of that wonderland and you're 25 years younger. It's going to be pretty easy. And then when you come out, pretty soon there'll be replicators and things. We'll have carbon scrubbers anywhere. Like just put a carbon scrubber up and it's as if you have, that much oil coming out of an oil pump or whatever. Or I guess it's like having a forest of trees and you got that much equivalent carbon being pulled out of the atmosphere that is petroleum, like it could be used to power or whatever. So once there's no lack of resources and everybody's 25 years younger anytime they feel like it by going to vacation under the ocean, we're done. Like everybody's just happy and we're living in some sort of weird paradise.
I think I might like that.
I think it's inevitable. So in that weird paradise, that's when we get the M60s and we get one of these civilian, because we won't need the Army anymore. They won't need the M60s. We'll have some sort of civilian M60 teams like Wield was talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
And if you want to hear about that, we were talking about Wield was on a M60 shooting team and some interesting insights to that. All right, well, at this point, nobody's even saying nothing. It is 11:30, so it's been at least 6 minutes. I know there's not that much lag. It's good to hear about the new platform, though. I joined that MeWe, and I don't know, I haven't had the ambition to go over. I mean, it's been busy, though, but I haven't had the ambition to go over and start playing with it. But I was looking at some old stuff today. I was kind of digging through, clearing off some shelves basically, and found a couple old notebooks. I used to carry spiral notebooks before there was telephones that could do that kind of stuff, and was thumbing through it. What the fuck come Instagram can't be reached? Is Instagram down? Am I still on the internet? Am I still connected? What's going on? Am I still here?
Yeah, you're here. And IG was fine 5 minutes ago.
It says Instagram won't connect.
Let me bounce out and I'll try real quick here.
Get on Instagram. You get there?
Hold on a second. It's opening up on my other handset. Yeah, I got connected. No problem.
How come I can't get to Instagram? Why are they blocking me? Am I shadow banned? What's happening? So, I can't get to Instagram. Does that link work for you? Did I get banned from Instagram? Is that what happened?
Let me. This thing locks up. Hold on.
All right, there it is. So let's see. I got to go to main Instagram. Look, here's a picture of Pincus just leaning up against that wall, holding that wall up. Another every second matters. Another every second matters. All right, so I was looking for here, over here, over here.
Okay, while you're doing that, do you know, is there a way to list Instagram account feeds time or, date posted in reverse? Because it takes me to go all the way back to your 2013 posts. It takes me like 20 solid minutes of finger scrolling before I get to the bottom.
Oh, what's worse than that is the bandwidth, because it downloaded every single one of those pictures and as you scrolled. So your usage, your bandwidth went insane. Instagram is an asshole. Yeah, Instagram sucks butts. There's no, you can't do that by purpose. They want you to not do that. They intentionally want it to be a stream, not an archive. Although they're creating an archive and they're certainly able to search and use and exploit that archive, use that against us. No, we can't use it to the same extent. It's probably a decision they made for strategic reasons, but also technical reasons. Like it saves them money and it works for their main goals, I suspect. But that would be a whole nother topic for Monday, perhaps. So this is one I posted earlier today. This one of those notebooks I found. So evidently, I'm pretty sure this is when Star 24 had a gas leak. And that happens all the time because they would pull out the fryers to clean them and stuff. So they'd mess with the gas lines constantly and just trying to clean stuff. They're idiots and they'd knock into stuff and there was leaks all the time. Then Store 30 had a real problem. And I think this is when I had to change a gas line like under the kitchen. And I forgot how we knew it was leaking under there. The boss knew it was leaking under there from back in the day. So I had to often, this isn't the only time I had to do this. We did do this quite a bit. Break in there right after they close, like whatever, 9 or 10 o'clock. Tell them, look, we're coming in after you close. So get the hell out of there. Like get your crew out of there as soon as possible. And then they would get the hell out of there. We might get there like 9 or 10 or whatever time it was and just lay into their floor. Just start beating the shit out of their floor and rip a hole in it and concrete pad, and then get under it. Here in Tucson, everything's just sitting on sand. It's just pads on sand. So you have to bust pad and then you're into some sand. And it's nice sand. It's not like desert sand. It's, building sand. So it's nice sand, but you have to break down into it, fix whatever the hell pipe. Hope you found the damn pipe. Like we pretty much knew where stuff was, but you're sometimes knocking a hole in the floor and then reaching down way the fuck over to the right to get to the pipe and you're barely using your fingertips. I remember doing that a couple of times. So this was a pain in the ass. And then the biggest pain in the ass was that I ripped the floor apart too much and the tiles were a pain in the ass putting it back together. So I remember this one I did not come out winning. Like I did not get the tile back together and everything. The leaks are always nothing. That's like 2 seconds and the leak is done. It's the ripping the floor apart and putting it back together before they open again. That was a pain in the ass. And we'd have to do that for sewer pipes and for gas pipes. Well, not often for gas pipes. It was usually for water pipes because usually other shit you didn't care about. But water pipes, they'd leak all over and get in the way or make a mess. So anyway, so that's I think what this was. And probably somebody yelling at me over the phone, like what all to bring. This is back in the days of you carry a pager around with you and then you call in to somebody and hopefully they're wherever whatever told you they were going to be kind of thing. And he's probably yelling at me like bring this and this and this and this. And back in those days, we'd have to remember what everybody had. We all had our own trucks. So we're having to remember who had what on their truck. So like, I'm not telling me to bring stuff I already had on my truck. He's telling me to bring stuff I didn't have. He thinks I didn't have. Anyway, so, and then I would do this kind of cool shit. Boom. So that's Instagram for today. I'm not going to read those messages because those are private. Learned how to strip the bluing off a gun using, I don't know what that is, Vevor 6 liter. Hot water and a cup of white vinegar. Oh, is the Vevor the name of the ultrasonic cleaner? This guy named David had a really nice one that you could put in M16, not just in pieces, but like I'm pretty sure you could put a whole AR-15 in there complete, like the whole rifle in there. So whatever, 30-something inches long, and then pretty wide, like the whole magazine and everything. You put the carry handle, a whole AK probably with a mag. It was pretty big. It looked pretty big. We were looking at it through the webcam, of course, but that guy had vision issues, so he had really good lighting. Like he had poor vision, so he had really, really, really good lighting, which meant his webcams could pick up everything. So he, unintentionally, he always had very, very good video, and he had a really nice gun room, and it was pretty well stocked, and it was super clean, like clean and organized. So it's just really fun to watch that dude dig in. Him and Dead Horse would tear into reloading topics, and I don't even know, dozens and dozens, and maybe even hundreds of hours of reloading chat with those guys. Anyway, he had a ultrasonic thing, and I was aware that they would do stuff in it. Like he would put stuff in there and show them how cool it was, but I didn't have time to just sit around watching every little experiment they did. I've removed bluing without a table though, just with, I don't think we use vinegar. We use something off the shelf, but yeah, it wasn't, didn't take any effort. Like you just, wherever that material, wherever that chemical hit the bluing, it was now metal color. Like it took nothing to get the bluing off. I have some super blue, and it was a black powder. Yeah, we've done that. Like say, just used, what is that? That blue company. Anyway, we bought their blue remover, and it just, you put it on a Kleenex or something, and you wipe it, and it's like a TV commercial. It just, one side of the Kleenex is, or the towel or whatever, is blue. The other side, as you wipe over it, is metal color. It just removes it like it was, just smeared on there, and it almost goes right back on as easy. I mean, cold blue, go, immediately wipe it on, it's black, and then you let it sit for a little minute, and you cook for a minute, and wash it off, and it lightens up a little bit, but it's pretty quick.
You talked about the Birchwood and Casey's stuff?
Yeah. I've just used that crap. There are better things for doing. I had that kit and we've used it, so I know how it, its speed and its efficiency or whatever, effectiveness. And it's probably designed to only blue a little bit at a time so that you can get just the shades you want. But I've used some stuff that guys were selling at gun shows that were like, oh no, buy this stuff. It's way better than that stuff. And I've used it, and it goes from raw metal to like black in one wipe. Like just amazing. Like just like if you would have done the Birchwood Casey like 4 times on the first time. And I don't know if it's stronger or more quantity or whatever, but there's definitely different types of that stuff out there.
It's probably
So what
more
was the stuff that you got at the gun show? Do you remember the brand or whatever?
No. In fact, it was like the opposite of that. It was like somebody had, probably somebody who knew what they were doing, just bought either a big gallons of it or made some or something and then put it in like their own bottle. Because it was just like a bottle you'd go to the food service place and get, hundreds of them for a couple of bucks, just like a generic bottle with his, like, I printed it on my printer and bought label maker like material, like just total DIY. The guy supplied like in Arizona, like maybe 2 or 3 people at each gun show carried his stuff. So you would always be able to find it at the gun shows. You'd see it on a couple of tables, but it wasn't like it's sort of like that guy, the gun cleaners, how he has relationships with a few people, but he's not like everywhere, but he's got relationships with people. So I'm sure he's at certain gun shows, always, got his selection of stuff at the gun shows. It was sort of like that around here, at least. I didn't pay enough attention to know if I've seen it around the country or not, but I would have to go. I have it. It's in my cleaning box, but it's not like it's right here or nothing. But I don't know if you'd be able to get it anyway. Knowing the gun shops I got it from were all the olden guys who did everything on paper. There's a chance that the guy they're buying their blue from, like, was a word of mouth guy. Like, there's a good chance he didn't even have a website on his label. It was a old school, let's say, situation.
Right on. So I've never seen anything that's called like a gun black formulation. How do you go from blue to black?
Well, I just meant it went really dark. I mean, depends on what you call black anyway, but I'm just saying, like the Birchwood. Have you ever used the Birchwood Casey stuff?
Yeah, the cold blue.
Yeah, where it's sort of like that cotton ball on the end of a piece of wire, and you wipe it on there, and you hope that you get it on there evenly, because everywhere you overlapped, it's a little bit darker, right? And then between places are a bit lighter. So Birchwood Casey is designed where, like, you do 4 layers and it seems even, right? With this stuff, you would do 1 swipe and it was at that darkness. So that's all I'm saying. It was just a different, I don't know if it was a different recipe or like a different, percentage or whatever they call that, concentration. I don't really know, but it was still blue. It looked like blue Kool-Aid or something, but I'm just saying it was like really dark. So if you overlapped it, like with Birchwood Casey, if you overlap it the first time, it's noticeable. You just made stripes on your gun and it looks really shitty. With this stuff, you couldn't overlap because it was already as dark as it was going to get. Like, there was no wiping it off and getting it darker. It was as dark as it was going to get on the first wipe.
Okay. Well, if anybody ever runs across the formula for that, I'd be really interested. Um, I have a bunch of extra barrels, chopped off barrels that I can do some practicing on, and I'm going to see what kind of stuff I can learn about making an ultrasonic tank as well.
I know a lot
But
of.
you got to take any bucket or any kind of pail, put water in there, and then shake it really fast. Really fast. Hold one edge, shake it really fast.
What were you saying, barbecue?
He's writing down those DIY instructions so he can make his own ultrasonic cleaner. You can't shake it fast enough. Just keep shaking it.
Well, I wonder if you could do something like, they have battery powered toothbrushes and water pick attachments and that sort of thing. I wonder if you couldn't just set up a drip system into the reservoir on one of those and immerse it because it's already watertight. Huh. I'll have to find out.
Were you talking about a cleaner, DJ? Or for some reason, I thought you were talking about making a hot salt station.
I don't think I was, so do tell.
Oh, he said ultrasonic.
Sorry. I heard that, and my mind went elsewhere with a hot salt station for bluing, so that's my fault.
Yeah, you were thinking finishing.
Well, is that something you were doing at home, barbecue, or is that something you were doing in the shop?
No, with the cost of the salts and whatnot that you would need to do hot bluing, it's not anything that I think is real feasible. But if you've got a lot of work for it, then it's something that is, because you can keep reusing it over and over. I've seen where people have taken 30 quart deep fryers and actually done gun parts in there to do a hot salt bluing also. But like a lot of gunsmiths I've seen where they would actually take old ammo cans, cut the ends off of them, weld them together, and until they got a tank that was long enough where they could just submerge entire guns in there and do entire barrels and receivers and the whole 9 yards. And I was just going to mention that, but like I said, unless you've got enough work to really call for doing something like that, the cost of it, I don't think is really economical. You'd be better off just sending it back to the factory to get something done, or just doing the cold blowing.
Right on. Thanks for that, man.
And disposing of the salts is gross and toxic and dangerous. So you're either going to spill it on your own property and damage and hurt and potentially harm, or push it on somebody else. There's nothing nice about those chemicals. It's not like oil, and you change your own oil and you can take your oil back to someplace that recycles it and does something with it.
Right.
I don't think at least I don't know. Maybe in gunsmith school they teach you something to do with salts, but I think the only thing I've ever known is just use them until they're gross and then spill them out somewhere but they're toxic as hell.
Yeah, I mean, we went through the whole bluing process and all that, but I don't remember what the proper disposal methods are.
Well, you wouldn't. It's like any chemical. Like everyone's going to have its own procedure, like spec sheet or whatever, but they're all complicated and costly, and that's one of the reasons it costs so much to have that kind of stuff done legitimately.
The biggest thing when it comes to cold bluing, people have to remember is it's 90% prep work, and 10% of it is the actual bluing processes itself.
Yeah. Same thing when I've done other metal work and like body work on cars and stuff like that. So how can you do like the color case?
I don't know. I never got that in depth.
Do what now?
Color case hardening?
Well, that's different. I don't know what that is, but I know it's different. It has something to do with heating it up or something. Like it's it's not this. What we're talking about is take like a gutter or like he's saying, like a big trough, and you just propane tanks underneath of it, and it's just like a big thing of boiling caustic solution, and you get your gun wet, and then you put it in there, and then you get it wet again, and then it rusts really fast, and then you get it wet and wash it off, and then you oil the shit out of it to end the rusting. What you're talking about, I think, is more of a heated up than oil or something. Yeah, I think
like
it's
an oil quench.
I think it's heated up.
Maybe it's
oil.
like at Burger King, how they have that grate that moves across the fire. Maybe they run it through some kind of machine that heats just because I can't imagine they want to heat it all the way through. It'd take forever and cost extra money. I think they just do it to the very outside. Like they heat up the outside some. I don't really know, but it's. I think it's a different mechanical, more different process than like bluing and parkerizing are done the exact same way. They just one looks dull and one looks shiny, but they're both like a boiling gutter of water solution or whatever that you dip it into like a big Easter egg. Where I don't think hard or case hardening is like that, but I don't know. I've never. Is case hardening where hot salt, like dry salt?
I don't know.
I think I've seen that too, where they have like a flame underneath of salt, like literally salt, and then you put something in there. But that might be plastics. How is it done?
I've done the electrolysis thing, so I mean, I have a basic understanding. And at one point, when I was, did a couple of
is the process in which the metal surface is strengthened by covering the surface with a layer of another harder material that is more durable, where bluing and parkerizing are rusting the outside layers so that they are less susceptible to rust because they're already rusted. I think that's how you describe bluing and parkerizing. Case hardening is practiced for a long time. Different processes. There are different processes. The first one is carburizing, where the heat treatment, also called blah, blah, metal is heated in the presence of charcoal and carbon monoxide. And then that gives it that color. After completing, you may see changes in the size and shape of the original. So that's not always done. There's nitriding, which is one of the heat treating processes, which nitrogen spreads over the surface to form its layer. So case hardening, well, that's the nitrite surface hardening we've heard of. I guess they're calling it case hardening, is for steels that contain low carbon. So that would be like stainless steels, I'm guessing. And there's different types of nitriding. Then there's, okay, so those are the three types of it. And then there's, the salt bath nitriding is one of those. So that's where you get salt at 500 degrees. And then you put your stuff into a diffusion of cyanide salt. No, that might actually
That sounds scary.
better. That's what I'm saying. The materials are fucking horrible. So then you got carbon triding is the type of case hardening which the hardness of the surface is increased and deformation is reduced. The name suggests that carbon and nitrogen spread over the surface, resulting in the hardness. And that creates a thickness of 0.07 from 0.07 to 0.5. So a pretty big span. And that'll create a layer on the outside, but it doesn't say how that one's done. It just says that it's done to dies and shafts and pins usually. Then it says there's cyaniding, which is the case of hardening process where the metal is treated to 800 to 900 degrees, and then it's put in sodium cyanide. Cyanide results in the formation of a layer ranging from 0.25 to 0.75. And unlike the others, it only requires 20 to 30 minutes. And it's used on gears and screws and small nuts. So I guess these have different characteristics that are useful for different things too. Then there's ferric nitrocarburizing, which the carbon and nitrogen are spread out on ferrous metals, so magnetic stuff. And there's a whole bunch of different nitrocarburizing. So I guess it gets even more complicated than that. But that's the real skimmy dry thing. And none of them sounded like the one that we see in guns, though. But it does sound like some kind of a process where it messes with the size of the metal. So that might be another reason you don't see too many guns. If it means it's going to screw with the metal, if it's going to warp it in the process, that means they always have to oversize it, and then they have to harden it, and it becomes warped, and then they have to spec it out after it's hardened, I'm guessing, because I'm guessing it doesn't change shape uniformly or consistently, right? It's going to change shape randomly. So that means you got to oversize everything, let it get warped, and then whittle it down to whatever size it was supposed to be in the first place. But after it's hardened, that would be incredibly difficult, wear out all your tools and everything. So that might be why we don't see very many guns case hardened. And why you see things like knives and shit that don't matter. Who cares if a knife handle is the same size as the one sitting next to it, right? As long as it's similar, nobody's going to care. But guns kind of have to interchange parts and stuff. People kind of expect that. All right, well, so no, nobody's saying nothing. We're at the 2-hour mark officially. And Garrett
Well,
said,
no, I was listening.
What?
I was listening. Thank you for adding clarity and focus to my question.
So let's see. Garrett, yep. What in the fuck is that? I have to kill a motherfucker? Wind just blew my fucking back door open. Hear that? Hear that? That's the fucking wind. Just blew the back door and the other back door open. Oh shit, I better close that door. It's blowing cold air into my house. My propane.
I hope it's the wind and not a crackhead.
Yeah.
Although if it is a crackhead, as soon as they see G, they'll probably just run the other way because he's like the size of a Sasquatch.
Well, they'd probably see Mello first.
Holy shit. It is windy as shit. I thought I was being swatted, but it's just Mother Nature. Going to tear down Tucson, I guess. We're getting super windy. More windy than ever. Tornado. Probably a nuclear tornado. No, it's super windy out there. I had to put a bunch of ammo cans in front of the door to keep it closed.
Judas.
I'm surprised this is still working. Usually, as soon as it's a little bit windy, my cable fucking whips around and it disconnects. So usually I know that it's windy because I don't have internet. Anyway, so at some point I'll quit having internet here, but I definitely have to find another propane tank because it ain't going to get any warmer. It wasn't warm air blowing around out there. Let's put it that way. Anyway, so we were at the 2-hour mark. So it sounds like Barbecue's going to blue Garrett's gun for him. Got that worked out.
I got you, Garrett.
Everybody else went to sleep. So, anything else?
Good to go.
I think Gun Library Garrett is a librarian.
Gun librarian.
A third shift librarian.
That could be. Actually, can it be anymore? I think there was all-night libraries at schools. I know I've gone to a library in the middle of the night before, but I don't know if they do that anymore. Oh, I heard a noise. Am I still connected?
Yeah.
I'm hearing noises like things are disconnecting and connecting or whatever. All right, well, let me say anything. So I guess with that, we're gonna wrap it up. Question mark? Nobody say anything out there?
Catch everybody tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks for showing up. Fairly decent chat. Tomorrow will be 229 or 1229. That's a SIG, I think. So SIG people are going to be happy about tomorrow, I suppose.
Heck yeah.
We'll be back to pick you up later.